Hello YouTube, this is Natanis Likens, and today we are back with more of my beginner's guide for Back for Blood. And today we are going to be covering the decks and the cards. So first off, you may be wondering, how do you get new cards? Well, that's simple. All you gotta do is go over to the supply line and you'll see these 4 slots here. I have already unlocked all the cards, so you're not going to see anything there. And the thing about the supply lines is that they will give you cards, cosmetics such as weapon skins and character skins, and some burn cards. Burn cards are slightly different, and we're going to cover those too. The thing about the cards, there is one type of card that I am not going to be able to show and talk about specifically. I do know of a few of them. I do not know all of them and exactly what they do. That is the corruption cards and the debuff cards. I don't have all of those memorized, and I've looked and looked and looked. There is no way that I can find to look at the corruption cards specifically. If you do know that you can look at them, leave it in the comments down below because I haven't been able to find a spot where you can actually look at the corruption cards. So yeah, this is where you buy all the cards. You come over here to decks. We have training decks, swarm decks, campaign decks, and burn cards. These are the options. Swarm decks are obviously used for the swarm uh, version of playing. Training decks is for offline play in the training area. So I wouldn't even bother with that. The campaign deck is the main thing that you're going to focus on, and then we'll talk about burn cards here in a minute. So you come over here to make a deck and everything, and your new player, this is what you're going to have as your starting deck. Second Chance, Wounded Animal, Reload Drills, Antibiotic Ointment, and Combat Knife. Now, in recent updates, they've added all of these extra cards here. I really don't know what to call these because these are just random cards that you find throughout a map. But you'll notice right off the back that these are kind of all over the board. Like this gives you an extra life, 15 health, 25% bleed out resistance. This one gives you you get health for kills when you're on critical health. And that means that the health down in the bottom left corner is actually flashing between white and red, which means you're very, very, very close to death. Typically, I think the lowest I've seen that activate at is 55. But then again, I actually had quite a bit of health when it did that. Typically, I've seen it at 45 and below. But yeah, that is what critical health is. It does not simply mean that you are low health. It means that you've gotten to the point where your health is actually flashing between red and white. Then you got reload drills, which just increases your reload speed and your swap speed. That is very important. We're going to talk about weapons and what they do later on, and probably part 3. I feel like covering that in part 3. Antibiotic ointment gives you increased healing efficiency, and it also gives them an extra 20 temporary health. Now, again, with the temporary health, it is temporary. It is going to slowly depreciate and go away. Eventually, that temporary health is just going to be gone. So, yeah, the main thing you need that for is the healing efficiency. And then Combat Knife. This is a card that if I see somebody using it, I know they're a newbie. This is probably one of the few cards that anybody in higher difficulty tiers just does not use. So first off, let's talk about what the Combat Knife actually does. So everybody comes with a bash attack. Basically, you just punch. When you have this card in your deck, instead of a punch, you are going to pull out a knife and stab at whatever's coming at you. And the reason that nobody runs this in higher tiers of difficulty is because the knife acts as a one-shot kill for the normal ridden only. And the bash attack does use up stamina. So taking this is absolutely pointless. It's a waste of a card slot because as you can see right here, we only have 15 cards that we can put in the deck. So this is a waste. Yeah, this card right here, if I see somebody using this on Nightmare, I'm like, you're such a noob. Like, why are you using that? Uh, there is no reason to have this card at all in your deck, period. Really, the only purpose it serves is for on uh, Recruit as a newbie. It serves as a quick get off of me maneuver because the base form of Ridden, it will kill in one hit, and that is a base form. There are three other forms. I do believe it will kill the fire ridden in one hit as well. However, the armored and the festering, it's not going to. With the armored, it may knock off the helmet in one hit, allowing you to then headshot the ridden. And then the festering typically takes about two headshots to kill because they are much tougher base ridden. So yeah, the knife, just don't use it. And please, if you're a newbie and this is you've got the starter deck, do not go to a higher difficulty. Start on recruit and unlock all the cards and build your deck. Yeah, trust me on that. Like trying to get through veteran when I first started playing with the starter deck was nearly impossible. So I ended up backing down to recruit, unlocked all the cards, built a proper deck. Um, On the right side of the screen here, you can see a few of the cards, and there is a way to filter out the cards from reflex. So this is mainly your stamina and reload stuff. For the most part, some of these kind of cross boundaries and as far as what type of card they are. You have discipline. This is more like how much ammo you can carry, your accuracy, and your damage. Brawn. Brawn covers a wide variety of things. This covers damage of all types. It also covers health. It also covers all the different types of resistances. Uh, you have trauma resistance, fire resistance, acid resistance, slow resistance, and I feel like I'm missing one. Yeah, I know I'm missing one. What am I missing? Explosive resistance. There we go. Yeah, it's just a wide variety. It covers a whole bunch of things. Okay, and then fortune cards. Fortune is more about finding things and being able to carry more with you. As you can see at the top here, we mostly have support, offense, slots that it adds, and then we have team-based slots that it adds. And you'll notice with the team-based ones, it also has a negative effect of decreasing your health and only your health. Um, I would say stay away from the team-based support cards that allow the team to carry more items because it is going to decrease your personal health. I would say stay away from these and go for the other ones. It's just my personal opinion, but yeah, probably don't use those. These cards also have to do with finding gear. For instance, here you can see that this one says uh, kills with your secondary weapon, meaning your pistol, have a 5% chance to spawn ammo, molotovs, or a bait jar. And then over here, kills with a melee weapon have a chance to spawn ammo, razor wire, or a bear trap. So yeah, the fortune is all about finding stuff and being able to carry more. Um, and that's pretty much all the different cards there. And you can use these cards in pretty much any kind of combination that you want. There are some combinations that I would say stay away from, such as this one here, Meth Head, comes with the downside of being that it disables your ability to aim down the sights. Well, that's fine and all, but if you take cards that increase your ADS speed, the two aren't going to play nice together. It's not going to work. Your aim down the sights is going to be disabled, and your ability to move faster while ADSing is negated. There's no sense in combining those two. So really think about what cards you're using and the combination of cards that you have. There are some that are better than others, and then some that are uh, things that I would say just don't take, such as this 50% reload right here. It disables your aim down sights. Yes, you reload faster, but you're not going to be able to aim. Uh, That really, to me, is kind of one of the apexes of don't use it. I really don't see any reason in any deck why this would absolutely be something you want to take, and there are a few cards like that. We're not going to go over all the different cards, just know they come in various combinations and have various different stats and increases, and just a whole bunch of different things that they can do. There are some things that I wish they had more of, such as weapon specific cards. So if we type in rifle, you'll see right here that we have this pouch card that increases your sniper ammo carrying capacity by 30%. It also gives you 10% increased damage with sniper rifles. And then we've got this one that increases your move speed while aiming down the sights with the sniper rifle by 40%. And that's the only two sniper cards there are. That's it. That is literally all there is. And then as far as like actual assault rifles, Tactical Vest is the only rifle card in the game. And all this does is increases your rifle ammo carrying capacity by 30% and increases your damage with assault rifles and LMGs by 10%. So, yeah, there are some big limitations as far as weapon specific cards. And each one of those, depending on which weapon we are talking about, may or may not have another associated card with it. For assault rifles, this is it. That's all you get. For snipers, there is two cards here. And again, that's really all there is. There's nothing else for it. Same goes for submachine guns. We have two different cards here. We got one that increases your damage and one that increases your carrying capacity, and then one that increases your move speed and reload speed. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And for some reason, I've been noticing this here lately. I don't know why the image is not the correct image. There we go. Now we do have. I haven't actually used any of the gadget cards yet. I don't like how the gadget cards actually work. You can see down here, it replaces offensive slots. So you can no longer pick up grenades, pipe bombs, anything of that nature that goes in your offensive slot. And there are a couple of these, and then they do go to different slots, like your offense slot for these. There's one that is for your support slot, and then one that is also for your quick slot. Um, I haven't tried those. I don't really know if they work all that well. I have seen people use, I think it's this one, ultrasonic wound therapy. I think I've seen somebody use that, and it did work pretty good. I'm assuming the cost is the ammo type, so you have to have that much ammo in order to use the gadget. I do believe it does come with a cooldown that works similar to the whistle that calls Jeff. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. And like I said, there is no real right or wrong for mixing all these cards. It comes down to, does the deck work? Does it allow you to survive to the end? Are you able to deal enough damage to help out your team? Are you using cards that help out your team specifically, such as increasing their stamina, increasing their damage, things like that nature? Um, though I will say, again, as we said earlier with Meth Head and anything that requires you to aim down the sights, there are cards that contradict each other and will not work together. So it's best to stay away from those cards that sound like they are not going to play nice together. Uh, on the other side of that, we do have cards specifically to mutations. So you have Mark for Death that increases the damage for highlighted mutations by 10%. You have Confident Killer, which gives you an extra 1% damage up to 15% till the end of the level for every mutation that you kill. And depending on the map and the corruption cards, uh, you may not find this one as useful. Mark for Death is one of the staple ones for that kind of thing. However, there is another card that I actually prefer over this one. We'll get to that in a second. And then you got Ignore the Pain, which is for melee damage only. Believe it or not, there actually are a lot more cards in the game for melee than anything else. A lot more. Uh, and melee decks usually come in three types. You got first off is a type that is just extremely fast, deals lots of damage very quickly. Then you got the cleave type that deals damage to a wide area around all nearby ridden and mutations. And then you've got the tank type. This is a type that basically just takes all the hits for the team. Um, yeah, that's pretty much that. As far as range DPS is pretty much standard. Like there's certain cards that you're probably going to use, such as the specific ammo carrying card for whatever weapon you prefer using, such as a sniper, the assault rifle, or the light machine gun, or even the submachine gun. It's pretty much what you're going to be taking. There are a few others, such as, if I can think of the name of it, tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is basically Walker's static ability, wherein it gives you more damage the more you aim down the sights. It also increases your damage to weak spots, and this will stack up to 3 times. So, really good card. I do highly recommend that one if you're using a deck that does aim down the sights. There are ways around the aiming down the sights, such as quick kill here, increasing your accuracy. If you put enough accuracy into your deck, your crosshair is going to be so small that you don't even need to aim down the sights. I think for my Tala bow build right now, the accuracy I have this at is fairly close to the maximum amount of accuracy you can actually have. So the crosshair for that when I'm crouching is just absolutely minimal. I don't even have to worry about aiming down the sights when I'm in that kind of position. However, with this deck, I did put in I thought I put in. No, apparently I didn't. Yeah, I thought I had tunnel vision in here to increase her damage while aiming, but apparently I do not have that in there. But yeah, that is something that is very important if you are planning on playing a deck that does not rely on aiming. I mean, you are technically aiming, but you're not aiming down the sights. So yeah, like I said, there's a combination of any kind of combination you can think of, you can possibly do. There are some limitations due to the fact that you only have 15 slots to put cards in, and quite often you're going to find yourself debating on whether or not you should pull out any given card in order to put out another one. For instance, in this deck, I wish I had a little bit more weak spot damage for dealing with mutations. I also wish I had just a little bit more damage. Unfortunately, just like all the other weapon cards, there's only 2 cards that affect the bow, and I have both of them in this deck. And it does not affect the bow damage, it only affects the attack speed and stamina use of the bow itself. So yeah, there is that, and that's pretty much in line with all the other weapons, excluding melee specific. Again, there's just so many melee cards already. As you can see here, we type in melee, there's all sorts of cards. Which this one, combat training, applying a stumble damage to melee is kind of funny to me because that's obviously a target for firearms. And we have various other things like this weak spot gives you 50% weak spot damage, move speed while shooting or melee attacking. It really slows you down while you're attacking. Not a big fan of that. It is a big bonus as far as damage, but the fact that your move speed is reduced to a crawl, I mean, maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not. I'd say on higher difficulties, you don't want to be slowed down that much, especially if you're trying to attack and get away from a horde. So yeah, again, there are some good cards that have really good bonuses, but the downsides of them I just feel like outweigh the good that they do. I imagine you probably could find somebody that has built or stacked all the weak spot damage and can pretty much two-shot any of the mutations, but yeah, I don't know. There probably is. It's not something I have really attempted. But yeah, as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of different melee cards, and then specific weapon cards just aren't as many. Again, you can mix and match these as much as you wish. And instead of ranting on about that or even showing you a build, I will say there is a limit to how many decks you can have. The starter deck is going to be there always. As far as I can tell, you cannot get rid of this. In fact, if I mouse up here, you can see in the bottom corner here that the delete button, gets disabled when I mouse over the starter deck, so you can't get rid of that. I do believe the limit is like 10 decks, I believe. No, 11. So I'm going to guess and say I've deleted a couple of decks recently because they didn't work as well as I'd hoped. I'm going to guess and say you can probably only have 15 decks. Now, the reason the decks are very important that you actually manage to get all the cards and build before you move on to a higher difficulty is you got to treat Back for Blood. On one hand, I keep saying more like Borderlands, but as far as the card system is concerned, you need to treat it more like a trading card game. And in that regard, if you go into a higher difficulty, it'd be like you buying a starter deck for whatever TCG and then thinking you can take on the Grand Champion deck. It's not likely going to happen. The deck is highly stacked against you, and you never know exactly which corruption cards a map is going to have on it. Um, and again, there are a bunch of different corruption cards, and I can't think of all of them and what they do specifically. I do know there is an armored card for every single creature in the game. So it'll apply armor to tall boys, armor to exploders, armor to normal ridden. The armor is not as annoying as it sounds, but it can be cumbersome depending on which mutation we are talking about. For the tall boys, specifically the bruisers, this is kind of problematic because their weak spot is on their right shoulder. And because of the way they run, that right shoulder is to their back. So when they're coming at you, you're not going to be able to shoot the weak spot, let alone the armor. Once they start attacking, it'll become exposed. But if they're within range of attacking, you might as well just be spraying bullets at it at that point. Um, Same goes for some of the others. The exploders, not as much of a issue because their weak spot is pretty much on the front side of them, and they charge at you directly, so you can pretty much shoot it mid-charge and hopefully take them out before they get to you. As far as the stalkers, all three types, well, the hawker, if I get all of these correct, the hawker, his weak spot is on his chest, which means, you're doing body shots anyway, most likely. So you're going to shoot off that armor and then hit the weak spot. The the stalker and the urchin both have their weak spot on the top of their head, so the armor is going to be applied there. And then the worm thing, I, I'm not really sure on one of them where its weak spot is. I still haven't quite figured that out. It seems to be like what you would consider its head, but its head is not always exposed, if that makes any sense. But yeah, there are a bunch of different corruption cards from security doors being everywhere, meaning that if you shoot it, try to open it, or anything, it'll set off an alarm, which will call a horde. The only way you can really open those is with a toolkit. Um, then you've also got the sleepers. Sleepers are probably the most annoying thing in the game because nobody pays attention to them and it ends up calling a horde. I am guilty of this at times. So don't get me wrong on my level of professional playing of Back for Blood. I do get caught by the sleepers all the time. And that is mostly because, without a Carly who can actually spot them before you get to them, you're generally going to miss them. Like, for instance, there's one area on the very first stage that I found out on Nightmare. The sleeper can spawn way up high on the wall, and the moment you walk into the room thinking that, oh, there's nothing here, it'll spring on you, calling a horde. I did not know that this thing could spawn up that high. And when I got hit by, I was like, where the heck was this at? Because with the way that I play the game, I make a good uh, clear of an area to make sure that there's no things to be hit or things to get hit by. And so I cleared the room and then walked in and immediately got hit by that. And after I got back up from being hit by that, I looked around the room. I was like, where the heck was this at? Didn't see it, and I decided to look up at where the ridden can actually enter the room from. And on the opposite wall, it was up there on like high up on the wall, like at least 10 feet above my head. And I was like, wow, I didn't know these could spawn in such places. But yeah, sleepers, probably the most annoying corruption card that can get played at any given time. Um, Next to the boss. The boss card is by far the most annoying one, especially depending on which boss you get on what stage. Because some stages it's way harder to deal with a given boss than it is the other. For instance, any of the levels that are close quarters combat, getting a berserker absolutely sucks. Um, I will say that the game is pretty good about not giving you certain bosses depending on the level. Like you're not going to find a close quarter match where you encounter an ogre. I have yet to see that. There are spots that you would consider to be close quarters, but they're open enough that the ogre can walk around there. But on later maps in like Act 5 and Act 6, there are very close knit areas where dealing with a breaker is like a pain in the butt because you got nowhere to maneuver. As for dealing with a ogre, the ogres generally stay outside of buildings, and there's certain points that they can reach in to grab you. But as long as you stay out of the reach range, you can just shoot bullets at it all day. And in wide open fields where you got nowhere to hide, you do have enough space to like maneuver and get far enough away from it to shoot. But considering how big they are and how few of steps they can take to get to you, plus their ability to throw out their heart, essentially. Um, yeah, dealing with an ogre in an open field is a little more difficult than when you got cover to just shoot at it from. But yeah, that's a few of the corruption cards. I think we spent enough time on this screen. Let's go over and talk about the burn cards. The burn cards are interesting, to say the least. These apply a one-time bonus to you or the team for one given map. And some of them I'm okay with, some of them I'm just like, these are collecting dust. And honestly at this point where I've unlocked all the cards, I've unlocked all of the skins that you can unlock through supply points. That's not counting skull points. As you can see, I have 22 skull points. I've actually been saving these, and I have like 9,000 supply points. Uh, in hindsight, that is not very many supply points, but all I can do at this point is just keep collecting burn cards. And the burn cards, let's just go in here and look at some of them. So we got some of the rare ones that come from the skull totems, and this one upgrades the rarity level of your currently equipped primary, and this one grants you a random legendary attachment. These I feel like are a little too rare, but considering what they do, I'm fully on board with them being that rare. Um, I do wish I had a few more of these, but so far I haven't gotten any. Same goes for the attachment scavenger that increases the amount of attachments. I only have the one. I have not used it yet. Same goes for the other two. I have not really seen a need to use these. These are very valuable, but at the same time, because they're so rare, I don't feel like using them. And just what they actually do, really, at the end of the day, is not that important. You're going to find better and better gear as you play through, so there's no reason to use this upgrade your equipment card. As far as the attachments, eventually you will find higher level attachments, and if you use this card on like a basic weapon or even a uncommon weapon, um, why? You're you probably use this card way too early in the act. Like this is something you should probably use only at like Act 6 or something. Or not Act 6, but like Map 6. Like you're getting close to finishing the act. Um, not too happy with those. Then the offensive cards, these are pretty much just granting you a random weapon along with increasing the team ammo. I have 86 of these. I have not had much of a use for them because either I'm playing decks that mean I get a lot of ammo, or I'm playing decks that means I'm not even using any ammo. So I haven't really had a need for this one. As far as some of the others, well, as you can see, I have 77 submachine gun cards, and these will give you a random weapon within that category. I don't really use submachine guns that often, so these are just building up and building up. The main ones that I've used primarily are the melee weapon for when I feel like playing a melee deck and a melee character, or the assault rifle and sniper rifle when I'm playing one of those two types. Generally speaking, my walker deck uses two primary weapons. So depending on what I find, I may play one of these on a given map. Um, Now you can play multiple of these throughout an act, and it will give you at some point a higher tier weapon. But considering you have no control over what that weapon is within that group, um, yeah, I do and don't see a really good use for this. And then there's the other issue, and that is with sniper rifles and submachine guns. And we'd have to go over to weapons in order to really talk about that. So let's go over to the weapons real quick and talk about. So the sniper rifle card can possibly give you one of four weapons. Yeah. How many sniper rifles do you see here? There's three. It can give you one of four. The other one it can give you is the ranch rifle. As far as the snipers are concerned, this is not my favorite. Not because of its damage or its handling or any of those factors, but because this uses rifle ammo, not sniper rifle ammo. And generally speaking, when I use that card, I am using my dual primary, which means I'm running around with an assault rifle and a sniper rifle. So I've seen ranch rifles one too many times. I'm not too happy with that. I really would like them to take this out of the sniper rifle category and leave it with the assault rifle category. Unfortunately, this does count as a sniper. So yeah, that's that problem with that card. The other problem is with the submachine gun. The submachine gun card can give you one of 5 weapons. Yeah, that's right, 5. If you look, there's only 4 here. The other one, which is actually kind of a pleasant surprise, though it's so rare that I don't know if it would actually. You'd have to use up a lot of them before you got it. The other one that you can possibly get is the sidearm, the Tech 9. I found this out by accident the other day. I felt like using up some of my submachine gun cards, and I played one, and it gave me a Tech 9. Yeah, that surprised the heck out of me. I was not expecting that. Um, so yeah, those cards, just because you play them doesn't mean you're going to get the category of weapon you think you're going to get. I really wish they would change that and have this one listed as the pistol, along with having the ranch rifle listed as the assault rifle. Um, Granted, the ranch rifle is also in the assault rifle, but I hate the fact that it's also listed as a sniper. So yeah, that's some of the burn cards. There are some more to talk about because that's just the offense. Defense, there's not a whole lot to offer here. You got the team effect of increasing the entire team's trauma resistance by 20%. Very nice card. Something that, unfortunately, because of the way uh, burn cards work, I haven't used too many of these. Then you've got the hazard suit. It increases your resistance to fire, acid, and explosive damage. Okay, very nice. I've used quite a bit of these. You can see that I'm down to 47 of them. The other one I've been using as many of these as I can possibly use. Group Hug gives your team one extra life. So this means you get one extra incapacitated. For those that don't know, in a lot of first person shooters, if you get killed, you're put into incapacitated mode, which means you can't move, but you can shoot one of your main weapons. And Back for Blood is whatever your sidearm is. Uh, for anybody using the dual primary weapons, it's whatever is in the top slot. Unlike all those games, there is a limit to how many times you can get downed. And I do know that in a few games there is a limit to how many times you could get down within a time frame. No, in Back for Blood there is a limit on how many times you can get down, period, at any given moment. And on No Hope, you don't have an extra life. If you die, you're dead. So I've been using quite a few of these cards, trying to keep my team alive, and to varying degree. Sometimes it absolutely is pointless in using them because nobody gets downed. We get through it, and we're perfectly fine. Other times, yeah, teammates get downed quite often, especially if you've got somebody that is being a jerk and summoning every single horde they possibly can. The last one is Urgent Care. This is one, as you can see, I'm down to 39. I've been using quite a bit of these. It restores 15 health and trauma. So that's an extra 15 health back that you didn't have previously. Again, trauma is a huge problem in harder difficulties. So if you're not running at least a couple of trauma cards, you're going to be low on health for quite a while. Okay, utility windfall. Each cleaner gains 150 copper. Okay, this is. I've used up quite a few of these. I'm down to 30 of them. Yeah, it's 150 copper. Really, when you start looking at the cost of things in the shop, 150 copper really is nothing. So yeah, I've used up quite a few of these trying to get a little bit extra copper in there, and mostly with my compound interest deck. But yeah, this card is 150 copper is still 150 copper, but it's really not that much. Um, Hell can wait. Team effect, gain one additional continue. As you can see, I am down to 6 of these. I've used quite a bit of them. And the fun fact about this is it will actually stack. So if your team manages to get through the map without wiping and you played this card, you're going to have that continue. If you then on the very next map use this burn card again, your team's going to have 2 continues. And then on the next map, 3. On the next map, 4. So this card will stack. Um, I was on a team, I don't know, last week, where we had what it took to get through. I don't even remember what we were on. I want to say that was the very last stage of Act 3, and we had what it took to get through it. It's just we kept screwing up. So I used up a lot of these cards trying to keep us going on that. Um, we did eventually beat it, though. I think I ended up using like 20 of these cards because we kept having like stupid things happen or situational things happen. Like for instance, in one of them, I remember I was the last team member downed, and I was getting one of my other team members back when a ooh a specific tall boy. I think it's like a grabber, a snatcher, catcher. I can't. Wow, I can't think of what it's called. It spawned right behind me and immediately grabbed me, ending the run. Um, Again, my team shouldn't have been down that easily, but that's just the situation we found in. And I almost had our team member back, but then I got grabbed. So, yeah, that sucked. We ended up losing that because, I got grabbed and immediately died from it. Okay, slippery when wet. I see a lot of people playing this one. This one grants the entire team the breakout ability, and it reduces its cooldown by 50%. So this one, I see a lot of people play this. This is one of those cards where you only need one person on the team to play it. Some of the others stack on top of each other. So if multiple people play the Windfall, uh, specifically if all 4 people play Windfall, you're going to have an extra 600 copper. Again, because of some of the prices, 600 copper may mean the difference between buying 1 and 2 items. Most of the time, it's only going to be 1 extra item that you can buy. Okay, moving on. We got mobility. Yep, that's the mobility burn cards. Loot. Yeah, we kind of briefly talked about that. That's the loot cards. Cards from the expansions, Tunnels of Terror. Yep, that's the burn cards for that. And Children of the Worm. Oh, look, they added a melee weapon. Yeah, so the burn cards are one-time use cards with effects that are either very helpful, meaningless, or they're so random they're not dependable. Yeah, the burn cards, I've really, if the devs come across my little beginner's guide here, I really think you need to redo the burn cards completely, and for the love of God, make some mobility cards. Like I'd love to see some cards that increase team stamina or the team mobility for maps specifically for running from point A to B, such as the crossing. Um, I really don't understand why there are no mobility cards. But yeah, that's the mobility cards. That's the deck. We didn't go over a whole lot of these specifically. That's because you just got to get in, start looking around and seeing what all the different cards actually do and thinking about how you can use those in conjunction with whichever character, because some of the cards will stack with the character's abilities, some will not. And some of them are just cards I would say just stay away from. Like, please, for the love of God, do not include combat knife in your deck. I don't. I no. I don't understand why you would have that, except for if you're using a starter deck. And if you're using a starter deck, you should be on recruit. I was trying to think of there any other. There is glass cannon. Okay, glass cannon is a card that honestly I think you should only use on recruit. I can see somebody trying to run this card on veteran. While the damage increase is nice, a 25% increase in damage, regardless of what type of damage you're playing, is nice. The problem is the negative 30% health. I had this in a deck that I was trying, and yes, I could kill things really quickly, but as the name suggests, if I got hit by anything, I was almost instantly downed. Um, it just puts your health pool so low that you really are a glass cannon. Yes, you do a lot of damage, but you can't take a hit. This is one of those cards where I would say just stay away from unless you're making a health based deck. And in that case, I'd be like, why are you even bothering? Because you probably don't have any kind of utility to go along with that 25% increased damage. Because trying to counteract that 30% health is just insanity. Um, so that along with the combat knife, I would say just stay away from. Along with this mag coupler, just stay away from that. I really don't see why you would need that 50% increase reload speed alongside not being able to aim down the sights when there are other reload cards that actually would work a lot better and also apply different bonuses that would probably be more useful to you. And there are a whole bunch of different cards, and there's some that are very situational, some that are kind of oddball, like Marathon Runner, no movement penalty for strafing and backpedaling. Um, yeah, I've never really noticed a need for that, so that's a card I've never actually used in anything. Same goes for Headband Magnifier. I absolutely hate this card. So it does give you an extremely fast use speed, but the moment you take any kind of damage, you're blinded. Like you can't see anything, you can't do anything. And those few seconds of being able to not see what's going on could mean the difference between life and death. Um, the use speed is nice, but the downside of it just, I would not suggest taking it. Um, this Killer Instinct with the 30% weak spot damage, removing aim down the sight, that's a card I generally take with my melee deck, seeing as my melee deck has defensive cards that mean I can't aim down the sights anyway. Um, so it just stacks damage. So that's a decent one for pretty much just melee decks. If you are doing the whole aim down the sights with high accuracy, this is probably a good card for you to take. Oh, stealthy. Okay, stealthy passage. This is one that I have not used yet. I don't even know how you would disarm birds, but you can disarm the birds. We may end up making a deck with that. It'd have to be a Carly specific. It will disable the quick slot, which kind of hurts because the quick slot is where your toolkit goes. And because of the way this works, opening a warp chest means that you don't have a toolkit, so you're getting the debuff. You also cannot open safe rooms because you do not have a toolkit. Um, it does mean you can open alarmed doors and alarmed cars. I, I really don't see how this would even be useful. I don't even think the gadgets would work, being that your quick slot is disabled. So yeah, really I don't see a reason to run this card at all. Like it sounds nice at first, but when you really think about it, disabling your quick slot, yeah, your quick slot is one of those spots that's probably going to be one that you use the most often. I'd say I use this one more often than I do my own grenade or my offensive slot. So yeah, that's another one I would just say stay away from. It sounds nice, but at the end of the day, it's not all that great. Um, and then there's some that you may think are not all that great, but yeah, I run them anyway, such as motorcycle helmet. 15% increased damage resistance, 10 health, and it disables your aim down the sights. Because melee decks generally are up in the face of all creatures, this is something I generally run in that deck. And being that it takes away your aim down the sights, I mean, it doesn't matter. I run meth head in it anyway, which also disables your aim down the sights. So there is a weird combination of this that you could run. Um, so yeah, the benefits of it are not that great, but it does. I mean, you're already running something that disables your aim down the sights, so why not? Instead of taking some other downside, why not just take that? There was one other that I was thinking about that the downside of it just means that I wouldn't even bother. Oh yeah, wooden armor. Wooden armor. So I have been stating that trauma is a big deal, especially in higher difficulties. And this card gives you 30% increased trauma resistance. The downside is 100% less fire resistance. Um, yeah, that really hurts because fire resistance applies to a whole bunch of different things, mostly just fire, obviously. But what I mean by that is if somebody blows up a propane tank, a gas tank, or if you're fighting the fire ridden, or you're on the level that there's literal fire everywhere, you're probably going to die pretty quick with this one. I do not recommend it. Um, that 30% trauma resistance is nice. However, that fire resistance, that's going to kill you more than the trauma will. So yeah, that's a card I would say just stay the hell away from. Hydration pack, decreasing your ammo capacity by 15%. It only gives you 35 health. Um, you may think, oh, that sounds horrible. Well, if you're running a melee deck, you're not worried about ammo. So why not? Yeah, that's one of those where, yeah, I mean, if you're running melee, you don't need the ammo. As opposed to canned goods, which gives you 45 health at the cost of 25% of your stamina. Again, there's just too many times in the game where you need to run from point A to point B and you need stamina. So I would highly recommend stay away from that one. that 45 health is nice, but that your stamina being so low is just going it's just going to cause you problems. You're going to get caught by either by a lurker or a catcher or a grabber. I can't think of what the proper name is for that mutation. So I would say just stay away from this one. Stamina is something that is very important. Accessory damage with a negative swap speed. Um, Swap speed is one of those that, depending on how you play, I don't see how important it's going to be to you. Uh, I often find myself bouncing between weapons, so the swap speed is going to be painful. That does mean that you're going to be switching weapons a lot slower. The accessory damage is going to be quite high, but you are swapping weapons quite well. However, if you are taking this, you're probably taking a lot of offensive weapon cards. So yeah, that should be fine for you. And I imagine you're also not swapping weapons too often. You're staying with one particular weapon. Um, Not my cup of tea, but not a terrible card. Same goes for this one, though. Again, because of the way I play that 15% ammo capacity, I really don't see as necessary. And these cards in particular, as far as accessory damage, uh, really, unless you're playing an accessory deck, I don't think I've ever even ran any of these in any of my decks. Um, yeah, yeah. So those are kind of up to you. And again, all of these are. I'm just informing you about the cards, how the deck works, and all that. So these are just a few. And we could go over every single card here, but there's just too many to go over. I'm just kind of meandering through and looking at them. This is where the swap speed kind of comes into play as far as my use. Uh, this is the this is the card that allows you to carry two primary weapons. It's actually not that bad, and generally speaking, if I'm switching weapons, it's between my assault rifle for horde fights and my sniper rifle for the times where I can just sit there and snipe stuff. It is possible to snipe in hordes. However, I find most of the time that it's better to do that outside of it, simply because some of the fire rates of sniper rifles are a little bit too slow to keep up with the amount of ridden and mutations coming at you. So it's just my personal preference just to use the assault rifle during a horde fight. Let's see, is there any others that we really should talk about for a second? Oh yeah, ammo stash. I have a love-hate relationship with this card. So basically your secondary weapon, your pistol, has infinite ammo. Infinite. You never have to worry about it running out. However, your reload speed is 20% slower. Um, at the start of a match, let's say on stage 1 of Act 1, this is painful. Your reload speed is ridiculously slow. However, once you start getting weapon upgrades and attachment upgrades down towards the end of the act, like let's say about stage 7, that reload speed just kind of disappears. So it doesn't become an issue. So this card here is actually one that I have in several decks simply for the infinite ammo. And the reload speed is something I just have to deal with until I can find a clip for my gun that increases the reload speed. Um, you can get the reload speed high enough that this simply just goes away. Like you don't have to worry about it, and then you've just got a gun that has infinite ammo. Um, so yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with that. In fact, I'm thinking about it. I may even try and build a pistol-based deck using this card. So we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much all of them. Actually, in combination with that, you probably see it up in the right corner. Admin reload. So swapping weapons after a few seconds will automatically reload whatever weapon. So really, if you play this and ammo stash together, um, you don't even have to worry about the slow speed. All you need to do is take some higher swap speed. So yeah, you could do combos like that. There are plenty of odd combos to play in various types of decks and all sorts of things like I think I actually deleted it. Oh, no, my shotgun deck. So the shotgun deck isn't so much about using shotguns as much as it is about reloading the shotguns. And the reload speed on this deck is just absolutely hilarious to watch. Um, let's jump out here and come over here. Oh, there is one other thing I need to mention. So particularly with the shotgun reload, I generally end up grabbing a Super 90. As you can see, it typically comes with uh, six shots, and then depending on what kind of magazine you get, you can actually have more, or you can have faster reload, or whatever. I am looking for that one. Generally, that is the type of clip that I get. But as you just saw with the reload speed, let's just empty the clip and watch this. So it's not too bad in the middle of a horde fight. That is kind of an annoying speed. However, with my shotgun deck, the reload the reload is hilariously fast. Like most of the time, if you do like fire shot reload, fire shot reload, fire shot reload, um, it's literally just reloading one shot. However, with my reload deck, the reload is just as fast as that. Whereas, if we unload here and do this, you can see it takes quite a bit. So yeah, the deck I built for shotguns isn't so much about using the shotgun as it is how fast can I get it to reload the shotgun. I do imagine I could get it faster with other cards in there, but I think it's fast enough that it actually works right now. Um, so far though, in my testing on Nightmare, it's not very viable on getting me through Nightmare with that deck. But yeah, that's pretty much all that. And being that we are right here in the range anyway, I think the very next episode we are going to do, we're going to go over not necessarily the weapons, but we're going to talk about the rarity of things. Because they did a horrible, horrible job of informing the players of the rarity of items. And the rarity of them actually does increase the usage of them. And one thing I just realized, well, we got bandages and we got. You know what? We'll worry about that in the next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found me talking about the cards not in great detail, and we only talked about a few of them, but we did talk about the decks, how they work, how many cards are in there, the burn cards, the corruption cards. And again, I just want to reiterate, because of the whole card system, the game works more along the lines in that regard as any TCG. It does not work like Left 4 Dead or Call of Duty. So if you're a newbie, you're coming in, you've got only the starter deck, you need to play on Recruit to unlock all the cards. Honestly, I wish they would have taken a Borderlands approach to this, and being that you have to beat one stage of difficulty in order to get to the next stage. But yeah, that's all I got for that, guys, and I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next one where we go over, again, not really the weapons, but the weapon variety or quality. So yeah, I will catch you guys next time. See ya. Hold up. Before you guys go, there's one thing I forgot to mention. So if we go over here to decks, starter decks, these cards here. So, like I said, these cards are something that you find throughout the maps as you play. And typically speaking, and I do believe it still is that way over here, they are going to look like this. So be on alert and looking around for these, and definitely go grab them when somebody pings them. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.